Meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation following. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials, grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
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 Roll call, please.
Allen.
Here.
Green.
Here.
LaFleur.
Here.
Mistrovich.
Here.
Rindell.
Here.
Ricks.
Here.
Warren.
Here. Good to see everybody here tonight. Approval of minutes for the City Council meeting of February 4th. Motion would be in order.
Make a motion.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is approved. Audience comments on any non-agenda items? Does anybody like to address the City Council? Now would be the time. We will move on. Adoption of agenda, Mr. City Manager, any changes?
No changes.
City Council, any changes? Motion to accept the agenda as presented would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
What's been made, seconded. There is no discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to items for consideration this evening, which we have 7. The first one being consideration of presentation on Great Lake to Lake Trail. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to receive a presentation from Andrea LaFontaine and Mark Rochoux on the Great Lake to Lake Trail, Route 1. Andrea is with the Greenways, Trail and Greenways Alliance, I believe, and Mark is the St. Clair County Recreation Director. They've been working on kind of how to connect Port Huron down to the Macomb Orchard Trail as part of this route, and wanted to come and make a presentation to the council so we could see how Richmond fits into this larger trail.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good evening.
I'm Andrea LaFontaine, for those of you that don't know me, although I think I recognize or have waited on many of you at Penn Country Kitchen today. Graduated from Richmond in 2005. No longer residing here, which is kind of sad, moved to Oakland County, but now back and working for a nonprofit that builds non-motorized trails. So Great Lake to Lake Route 1 will be the focus of the presentation, and if you want to ask questions as we go, you're welcome to. So Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance, a little bit about the nonprofit that I work for. We're a 501c3. Our mission is to be the statewide voice for non-motorized trail users and develop trails throughout the state. We really support an active outdoor lifestyle in Michigan. Our history, we started as the Michigan Rails to Trails, and then as the Rails to Trails Conservancy chapter grew and regionalized, they're based out of, I think, Ohio now. So we figured Michigan needed its own voice in this trail community, so we started the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance in 2005, and we are affiliated with the Michigan Fitness Foundation. So it's a little hard to see in here, but there are 5 Great Lake to Lake trails throughout the entire state. Only one of them is 100% complete, and that is Route 3. Route 1 is the most southern route that you can see that goes from South Haven all the way to Port Huron. This is the one that I was hired to work on building the gaps to make sure we can connect this entire thing. So when I say non-motorized users, we often think of just hiking and biking, but we also do have quite a large equestrian crowd over in the Livingston County area, cross-country skiers, and then that's actually my dog in the bottom left corner using the Orchard Trail. So we have noticed over time that people within like the last 5 years are starting to really prioritize trails and communities, and they're starting to see the benefit that they bring to the table. So when I say they're a benefit to all, we reference economic impact studies. This one is from Pennsylvania. There are a few states who are really leading this this charge to be the trail state. Michigan is up there. I don't know if we would be ranked as the #1, but I'd say we're pretty close. We really make communities more attractive place to live. I notice with my job, there's a little bit of resistance when trails come into a community initially, but then once they're in, people rave about them and they love them. I actually just saw the other day, somebody posted on the Orchard Trail Facebook that they bought a house along the trail and they are actually excited about it. Where in one of the counties I'm working with on the west side, people think that they're going to be a corridor for criminals and bring all this crime and trespassing, and I'm sure you guys all know what that is because you went through that before you were. So Great Lake to Lake Route 1. This is a zoomed-in picture of what this route looks like. Throughout the entirety of the trail, it is some managed by the local municipalities, some managed by the DNR, some managed by the county as a whole. So my objective is to help build gaps, and some of the largest gaps that we're dealing with are Calhoun County, over on the west side, St. Clair County, which Mark is here, and we're working there, and we'll give you an update on that. And Pontiac is a little bit hairy, as I'm sure you can imagine. We're working on connecting some areas there as well. So, inaugural ride. Route 1 was really the vision of Mike Levine as the huge benefactor to Michigan Trails and Greenways Lines. An older gentleman from Livingston County who had this great idea that he wanted to ride his bike from one side of the state to the other, and he's now 80, and I think that we can accomplish that this year. So we're kicking off our grand ride this September. The trail is not 100% done. We're about 68, 70% done. Still making strides forward. But that ride will be this September, and the cool part about it is we're limiting it to 150 riders to do this we spread it out over a decent amount of time, so people who maybe aren't avid riders can handle it. I still don't know if I could do the 40 miles a day, but props to those that do. So, and the other unique part is we're doing these stops in all of these cities, and the cities were essentially kind of fighting over who gets to be a stop along this ride, because we're renting 100 hotel rooms for our riders or more in each of these communities. And the communities are really embracing the riders as they're moving through, and they're hosting local events and encouraging them to check out their businesses and their downtowns. So that's coming up this September. Signage, this is another thing that we are working on along the trail. I did include some of the signs that I see often on the Orchard Trail, and then the other component, like the ones in the middle and the ones on the right, it's really new to the trail. We're trying to encourage the branding of this Great Lake to Lake Route 1, but if you see the one all the way on the right, there are 3 markers on there. So that's in Oakland County. They have a part of the Iron Bell Trail and the Country River Trail, and then the Great Lake to Lake Route. So they're kind of monikers that will go all along the trail to remind the users that, hey, we're still on Route 1, we're going in the right direction. The signage can be sticky depending on where we're at. We're just trying to really work with the communities and let them guide them a little bit, but also encourage that they use the brand of the Great Lake to Lake Route 1. So Macomb Orchard Trail and beyond. I took this off of our GIS snapshot thing. As you can tell, the dotted route is not the official route. That will just be the route for the ride. The ride is coming in September because we know that that other portion is not finished yet. I think it's great that the trail jumps into your downtown and then doesn't go anywhere because all these riders then have to use your downtown. So it's a great economic impact to the community. But we need to start thinking of how do we connect this trail out to Lake Huron and Fort Huron. Before I bring up Mark, the last thing I wanted to touch on is this is a new program that the DNR launched, the Pure Michigan Trail Town and Trail Designation. So our Department of Natural Resources is starting to put a lot of emphasis on trails throughout the entire state. So they started this program where different municipalities and trails can apply to receive this designation. They just went through their first round. I don't think they have been awarded yet. I know South Haven was really anxious to apply for that because I think one of the caveats of applying is you are then considered this Pure Michigan Trail and you get that designation. You'll also be included in the Pure Michigan marketing. This was something I reached out to Gary at Macomb County as well to put this on their radar because I do think Richmond has potential to be the a trail town, if you choose to embrace it, and if you want that. I mean, you don't have to be. Okay, so then, quick update on St. Clair County. So St. Clair County actually has a lot going on in regards to trails, and we want to make sure that we are operating together and doing things in the most effective, efficient manner moving forward. Do you want to update them on what's going on?
And if we're done with the PowerPoint, if we can kind of switch to the microphone so that, yeah, thanks.
Yes, based on the enthusiasm of the Great Lake to Lake Route 1 and interest from the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation. I don't know if you've followed that in the regional newspapers, but last fall, Mr. Wilson, who was the former owner of the Buffalo Bills and passed away, and then sold his ownership of the Buffalo Bills, and that went into his foundation. And then independent of him, the foundation board of directors decided what legacy gifts would be in keeping with celebrating Mr. Wilson's life. So last fall, Andrea and I were both there when they made a pretty dramatic announcement in Detroit. They announced a $100 million gift, $50 million to a riverfront park, and $50 million to trails in southeast Michigan. 10 of that $50 million is going to go into an endowment fund for long-term maintenance of trails. So we are fortunate, Macomb and St. Clair County, to be in the region and have an opportunity to access that fund. In preparation for that, the Wilson Foundation has made a gift to the St. Clair County Community Foundation to fund a study of all of the routes in St. Clair County and the gaps, and determine what gaps need to be filled and in what priority. One of the biggest priorities is connecting the Macomb Orchard Trail to our Bridge to Bay Trail. A couple years ago, we did that exercise, and before Mr. Wilson's foundation came on the scene, and we chose as an interim route the Gratiot Road route. But now with an alignment of all these interests, the Wilson Foundation, MDOT, and MDNR of combining their grant programs to get it done, much like they've done with very successfully with the Iron Bell Trail on the state level. So we have been very involved in the last 3 months on doing that study, and Troy's been we've requested, and Troy's been very involved, and because we, St. Clair County, don't want to be operating in a vacuum. That doesn't make any sense to us to do our thing and not have it aligned with what your priorities and your trails are. So we hope to finish that study by the end of March. At the same time, as Andrea said, there's big interest in economic impact of the investment. It's going to be a huge investment, and everybody wants to know, well, what does it get us other than health, wellness? There is a lot of data out there that says there is a business return on investment. So Strategic Partners has been contracted by the Community Foundation to do an analysis of the potential economic impact of these trail connections to St. Clair County. And we will be sharing that with everyone, and we build on a Southeast Michigan study. Now they're doing a study for us, and then all that information will continue to be shared with decision makers like yourself, so that you can kind of put in the context of your involvement helps your community recreationally and health, but there are some other benefits to you. So that will be done by the end of March. And then the last piece, and again with the Wilson Foundation's interest in sustainability, just like the roads. I mean, you don't want them, you build them and you can't just walk away. You've got to start planning for fixing them and replacing them. So this spring, our Metropolitan Planning Commission staff will be doing an assessment of all paved trails in St. Clair County, exactly how they do that for the road commission on roads, PASER. I don't know if you've heard that term, but they'll do a PASER assessment, and then that information will relate back to the master plan that's being developed, and to try to strategically identify what the condition of the trails are and what ones need work before they get too far gone, and then the price goes way up. So those are the 3 studies that will be done this spring, and as a result of that, we hope to have a substantial ask to the Wilson Foundation, and then coordinated with grant applications to the DNR and MDOT. So your involvement, I don't know how many of you were on the city council when the Macomb Orchard Trail was started, the concept came through. I know, John, you were very involved in that. It takes a long time. Mr. Levine would like it done yesterday, but we know trails, I always tell people, you need 2 things for trails, patience and perseverance. If you don't have both of those, you're not going to get to the finish line. There's grants out there, but it takes time to get them to the point where you actually construct it. So we are really excited about connecting up to your beautiful Macomb Orchard Trail. And as I said, Troy's been very involved with our discussions, so that when that happens, it's seamless. The Great Lake, the Lake Trail signs will be on both, but your Macomb Orchard Trail will be on yours, and whatever designation we have. Right now, I would say there is a good chance that with the possibility of the Wilson Foundation funds, that they'll probably choose to go down Fredmore Highway rather than Gratiot. Gratiot will probably be an interim route, and Fredmore Highway would, in likelihood, be the long-term permanent goal of the connecting. Again, because of the connection to economic impact, there's an interest in not leaving St. Clair out of the route for the bridge, for the Great Lake to Lake Trail. So we're excited about it. We wanted to make sure you are a partner in crime with us to make this happen. We're excited about September and having the people come to. So there should be some discussions with your Chamber of Commerce folks, because there is a lot of very. I'm told that touring cyclists are one of the groups that you want to come to your community, because they expend a lot of energy, but then they want to relax and eat a lot of food. So we look forward to that excitement come September, but in the long term, hope to get our connection. Division Road, probably no surprise to you, is our big challenge. Ideally, bike riders want to go the shortest route, so Division, earlier planning studies have talked about all kinds of routes to the south end of your city and then back up again. So the obvious news is there is no easy route. So you just kind of pick the one that makes the most sense long term and try to strategically make investments to make it happen. So we're excited to be here to tell you about the vision and invite you along for the ride, literally. Any questions?
Any questions?
I just have one. When would be the date that they would actually come through, that Port Huron date? Is that the 18th is when they would actually be coming through Richmond?
Yep.
So they actually ride 61 miles in one day?
It's the longest stretch of the entire
Okay.
ride. So we're hoping that they will stay over in Port Huron for a night because they'll be too tired to want to go back.
Okay.
I think that's something that we definitely want our Parks and Recreation Department on. And I'm sure we can coordinate with
Troy, yep, absolutely.
whatnot. But yeah, we were like the promoters of the Orchard Trail when it first began. Tom Welsh came to me and said, we're going to have this. And he was chairman of the big park.
HCMA.
Yeah, HMC. And, from there, we just took off, and it took off on both ends, I believe. And, we've always been a big supporter of the trail. We had the opportunity to buy from Main to Oak Street, just east, a few blocks. We grabbed it before it took us a number of years to get Grand Trunk, as you well know, to do anything. They had our check cashed for quite some time before we got a deed. Did we get the deed, by the way?
Yeah, so, and they actually held the check for a long time. I mean, it was just one of those things
Like 8 years.
sitting on somebody's desk, but it was taken care of, yes. Yeah.
But we definitely we're in. It's part of the council's goals and objectives, is all about the trail. You know, we want to connect also. And from an economic standpoint, it's been fabulous for the city of Richmond. Our restaurants, everybody has benefited greatly from that. Our property values, people have fixed up their homes that butt up to the trail. I mean, it's created better neighborhoods also. And so I think we are all in. And, you know, we understand we're on the Macomb County side, so we will definitely have to, you know, it's funny, we've had a meeting with the chairman of the St. Clair County Board and your planning commission, but nobody from Macomb County yet is, or have they, Troy?
We had a meeting a couple of years ago
Yeah.
with Macomb County planning to kind of come up with our preliminary route, but yeah, there hasn't been much from the executive's office.
Yeah.
And I think, Mark, that's kind of one of the questions we had prior to you coming out tonight is you're working on kind of the St. Clair County piece of the puzzle. In the big picture of Macomb County, it's nice because pretty much Macomb County solved all but from 32 Mile Road in Maine over to the county line. But that's really kind of where we need to step in and work with our representatives at the county to say, okay, St. Clair County is going to be doing their effort and their grants to the Wilson Foundation to get it to the county line. And we know where it ends right now at Macomb Orchard Trail. It's that piece in the middle that, is it the city of Richmond? Is it Macomb County? From the railroad tracks to the county line, that's Macomb Department of Roads right of way. On the south side, it would be city of Richmond. On the north side, Richmond Township. Then from the railroad tracks are essentially our property line here in front of City Hall over to Oak Street, where we think we're really coming back up from that spur we just acquired. That's kind of within the city of Richmond, so it kind of, we need some discussion, I think, now that we know kind of where you're ending off and where the Macomb Orchard Trail is, to kind of say, okay, who's working on this gap, you know, and I think that's where Andrea, Macomb County, and the city of Richmond kind of need to get together to say, okay, here's what St. Clair County's doing, here's what we already have existing in Macomb, and now it's time to start working on this section in Richmond.
Absolutely. Council consensus, absolutely. Yeah, we definitely want to be on board. We want to be right there with it, you know. And if nobody else is moving, we will continue to move.
Okay. And I mean, the good thing, as with any route, there's always challenges, and even on the south side of Division Road, there's some challenges, but there's also some opportunities. The city's already been in discussion with a couple of the property owners that have undeveloped land on the south side, and we have right-of-way that a trail would fit in the existing road right-of-way. So there's some areas that, you know, I think would be pretty straightforward. A couple of houses to get around, but you work to get around those.
Yep. Okay, any other questions or anything, comments? Thank you for coming out tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Moving on. Item number 2, consideration of special event request, White Cane Sale, Richmond Lions Club. Mr. City Manager?
Apologies, let me get to. Council is scheduled to consider a request received from the Richmond Lions Club to conduct their annual White Cane Sale on Friday, April 26th and Saturday, April 27th. The Lions Club is requesting permission from council to conduct the sale in the intersections of Main and Division and County Line Road and St. Clair Highway, the city side.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the request received from the Richmond Lions Club to conduct their Goodfellow paper sale. Yeah, it should be the White Cane sale, actually, right?
Yes, sorry about that. Yep.
At the intersection of Main Division, County Line Road, and St. Clair Highway on the city side. Friday, April 26th and Saturday, April 27th, 2019, from dawn to dusk. Further, Lions Club will agree not to be in the Main Division intersection on Friday, the 26th, from 2:30 to 3:30, and further, Lions agreed to sign the liability waiver.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion? Wish them well. Good weather. Any audience comments on this item? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 3 is consideration of bid award aggregate materials. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider awarding the 2019 aggregate material contract. The project was advertised on Mitten, and an advertisement was also placed in the Voice. We received 4 bids on the delivery of 23A limestone and MDOT Class 3 sand.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to award the 2019 aggregate materials supply contract to TR Pipers Act at a unit price of $14.48 per ton for 23A limestone and $6.44 per ton for MDOT Class 3 sand.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Any audience comments on this? Back to the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 4 is consideration bid award 2018 CDBG ADA ramp upgrades. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider awarding the 2018 CDBG ADA ramp upgrade project for construction to begin the spring of 2019. The project was approved and bid as part of the city's 2018 CDBG allocation. The scope of work includes replacing the ADA sidewalk ramps in the southeast quadrant of Oak and Byre.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to award the 2018 CDBG upgrade project to Birmingham Seal Coat in the amount of $16,050 with the expenses charged to the appropriate line items within the HUD fund and Major Street Fund.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Who do we have before, Jim? Who's,
Great Lakes Contracting, who was the second.
they were, okay. Very good. And Birmingham, you said you had checked their,
Yeah, they were all excellent as far as I was concerned, as far as the references.
very good. Any audience comments? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Against? Motion does pass. Item number 5 is consideration bid award, Division Road Overlay. Mr. City Manager.
The current fiscal year budget includes funds for the mill and overlay of Division Road. This project would go from the railroad tracks to the western city limits, and would be done this spring. Once awarded, we'll work with the contractor to develop a time for a public information meeting. The city received federal funds for this project, and it was bid through MDOT, through their website, and 4 bids were received.
Thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make the motion to authorize the expense of $366,584 for the mill and overlay of Division Road. James P. Contracting with the expenses charged to the Major Street Fund capital improvements.
Support. Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Question on this, John. We're putting a number in there, but I think our previous discussion that we had was that the 80%, we're not sure if that was.
The total cost of the project is that number.
Is that number?
Whether we get reimbursed for more than what.
Of the actual
The
expense.
original 80% is based on our projections, not on bid prices. So depending on if there's other funds available within the federal fund in that committee at the county level, our grant funding portion might go up, but the total bid price that's in the motion is correct.
Oh, the motion is correct, okay.
Any other comments, questions?
Because the original estimates went up, as it said in the background, quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Since
Okay.
July.
Yep, a combination prices are, just currently, prices are getting higher, and then also we did add a little bit to the scope of work. We realized, like at Burke Drive here, we need a little better intersection there for the trucks that are servicing the industrial uses along Burke Drive, so we did change, and then in front of what I refer to as the old Richmond mower. There's some curb line there where there used to be kind of drive-up parking, and we're going to put that to high-back curb with grass.
Oh, that'll be curbed in then?
Yes.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. I just want to note that in the motion, I think two numbers were transposed, the 366,584, when the actual, the bid was 366,854.
54.
There is two different numbers,
Yes.
yes.
Sorry about
Well,
that.
which one is
Which
correct?
one is the right one?
Jim?
I have no idea.
On the bid, it is 854.
854.
It's
42.
$854.42
Okay.
on the bid.
Rob, you have no problem changing?
No,
Okay.
no, it's,
Sorry about
Unfortunately,
that.
it's not hundreds of thousands.
unless
Right,
we take
Yeah.
it out of
but,
Jim's
you know,
pocket.
Well, I thought maybe
Take the
we'd just do
difference out of
that.
his pocket.
Okay, since we're doing this, and it's quite a project for us, and the equipment's there, and I know time is everything, but after our presentation tonight, and with the idea that we're looking at the Orchard Trail coming up Oak Street, and it's gotta go over Division, is there any work that, while they're here, for the future of the trail?
I can look into that. For example, that
Pinch point there at the railroad track? Could they,
that's going to take some engineering,
Yeah.
because I think there's going to need to be a retaining wall, and we've
Yeah.
looked at that with like John Crum and some
Okay.
others, Norm Cox, and the elevation there for once you get over the railroad tracks, that first house,
Yeah.
at Howard, there's going to have to be some type of retaining wall or something in there, more than likely, and so, but while they're here, for example, the portion that we own, that 2 blocks, maybe it's time to, we know the width. I'll work with Jim on that.
we can look at that, I mean,
Take a look
Yeah.
at it.
There's
if-
no
if we
better
get
time.
Closer.
then if they're gonna be tearing out Monroe Street, because we're gonna do that also tonight,
Yeah.
but they're tearing all that out, what kind of a base is that for the trail? That'd have to be a
Well,
pretty decent.
Being over the railroad track, I assume
You
it's,
got a
it's
solid
actually pretty
base.
good there
No,
now.
I'm
so-
talking our stretch that we own right now.
That's what we're talking.
Yeah, but being it's a former railroad track.
Yeah,
that
so,
base-
so that it should be a
You
relatively
think that's-
simple project, I would assume, as far as the pavement section, yeah,
Okay.
which would
Okay,
be nice.
okay.
It's just rolling the dice on if we are able to get Wilson Foundation money or some other money, you're giving up a potential as far as grant funding
Right,
to
yeah.
help pay for it.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, like that 2 blocks, certainly there's a lot of residential uses 2 blocks away that would have a little easier time getting to that, where the crossing guards are, versus walking down Division Road and those houses that are so close to Division
Yeah.
Road. So we'll look at that while they're
Yeah,
here, and at
just
least maybe get an estimate from them on what it would be.
And get a hold of St. Clair County, they've got all kinds of money. Park and Rec.
We get our $8 faithfully from.
I was gonna say, we should
We'll
donate-
put that $8.
Yeah.
Mark's kind enough, we don't have to fill out our paperwork.
Okay, we got a motion. Any other discussion on this? Anything from the audience? Back to the table? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 6, consideration bid award Monroe Street pavement replacement. Mr. City Manager?
The fiscal year 18-19, also in the local street fund, included funds for the mill and overlay of Monroe Street. During the engineering phase of this project, it was determined that probably replacement of the full asphalt pavement section would be more appropriate for Monroe Street from Parker out to Grove, and then from Parker to Maine would be an overlay, a mill and overlay. But our experience in a couple other projects, if the road gets a little bit too far gone, it's better to replace it all versus do the mill. And so we made that change, which then drove up the cost of the project. We bid it out, again, using Minton and the Voice, and the same low bidder that was on Division Road is the low bidder on this project, James P.
Very good. Thank you. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to authorize the expense of $156,492.22 for the reconstruction of Monroe Street from James P. Contracting with the expenses charged to the local street fund capital improvements.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion on this? Guess we're assuming that it's going to be done at the same time. Has there been any conversation
Yeah,
with?
I mean, we haven't gotten that far along, but I would assume they'll be pretty much back to
I
back.
tell you, living on Monroe, if you're going to be doing the south end of Division, you're not going to want to close Monroe.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely make sure that the projects are not overlapping, that
Okay.
would be probably one after the other.
Good.
And again, like the Division Road project, when we get a little further down the line with the contractor, we'll set up a public information meeting, as we normally do with all of our local road projects, and send out an invitation to the residents of that street to come and have their questions answered.
Okay. And did we find out, is there a timeline in the contract when this must be done by?
They're both required to be done by the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th.
Okay.
But so they'll both be spring projects.
Spring project, yep. Okay. Well, I just thought because MDOT was involved and it took a year for them to do the other job. Okay, any other discussion on this? Still kind of the audience comments? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass.
Thank you.
Our final item, thank you. Our final item is consideration of library board appointment. Mr. City Manager.
With the recent resignation from the library board, we had one vacancy, and we have received a application from Susan Keel.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Susan Keel to the library board to fill a vacant term with an expiration date of June 30th, 2020.
Support.
What's been made and supported? Any discussion?
One comment, can this approval hinge that she remains on the recreation board?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't want her to trade one for the other, because she's been
Already
fantastic.
talked to her about
Okay.
No, she's locked in.
Thank you, because she's amazing there, so I'd hate to lose her on the rec board. But she'll be a fantastic addition at the library, because she already spends an incredible amount of time there.
She does. She's volunteered there for quite some time and works well with everybody over there, according to our librarian. So it was just natural for her to fall into that position. So I don't know if she thought it was natural, but it worked. But we really appreciate the fact that she did sign up for the position. Any audience comments? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We thank Sue. Moving on, miscellaneous from the city manager, sir.
I know I've received a couple questions regarding cold patching and some potholes. We will be doing that tomorrow. Plant was closed today, so we couldn't get the material, but they'll get it tomorrow and be out there working on some of the holes that have popped up around town. And also just want to thank the Richmond Area Good Old Days Festival for the Winterfest in our park. Certainly our hockey game that Rec did last year, and then the chili cook-off benefited from kind of the people over there. I think we had 14 chilies back in the chili cook-off, and worked very well from the city perspective.
Thank you. Council comments, Rob?
I'm good tonight.
John?
I'm good.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Amy?
Nothing tonight?
I just want to congratulate the winter sports teams.
Yes.
We haven't talked about that much lately. Sounds like they all were BWAC champs. And then the girls, I think, are on to regionals, and then the boys wrestling are going on to states this weekend.
And ranked number one.
And ranked number one going in.
That was after what they did this weekend? Is that how they got
Yes.
ranked number one? Because they were number two, right?
Yeah, that was through Grappler, which isn't through the official board
Okay.
seating, so.
Oh, okay.
So that's a group of coaches and I think referees and that do the final
Oh,
seating,
okay.
so. But yeah, they're projected to end up being the number one going in.
Yeah, great.
But they get a good chance, and we'll see how they all
And
do.
that's this Saturday.
This Saturday, the girls will be doing their cheerleading regionals, I believe, this weekend.
Yeah, they're in
And I think the
Grand
boys'
Blanc.
basketball districts are
Blanc.
coming up then, too.
Yes.
So they're all doing quite well this
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
Exciting
It's
for the
exciting.
town.
It is. We just came from, John and I just came from a JV basketball, and they doubled the score on the opposing team in the first half, so, that, good sports program over there. Michael?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Besides, I have numerous things to announce here. I think this is the most I've ever had. I also want to thank, on behalf of Good Old Days Festival, thank the Parks and Recreation. Did a great job with Chile. Historical Society was open and had some people over there going through the place. And also the DPW, all the help that they gave us, given the snow, the ice, those guys were over there helping. We couldn't have the equipment that they had to clear the area where we were, so we really appreciate them. And all the guys were so helpful, Jim. They just, hey, I'll go back and check with Jim, make sure it's okay, and they were right back over, and they got that ice pile out of our way once, and there was some other things that there's no way we could have done given the 16 below zero on Friday when we were setting up. So we really appreciate that.
I'll pass it on, thank you.
Yeah, and John, you, of course, and the administration, I don't know why you came over in your sneakers when it was 16 below, but. Yeah, I know.
No hat, no gloves.
But it was a good weekend, and it was the first time around. There was many things that, given the fact that we didn't have snow, didn't help matters, but given the fact that we were able to sit back a little bit and see what was going on, some of the things that we missed, that we can do better on, that's what we do at Good Old Days. And we've had some help from some people around town telling us what we should have done, but it was obvious that more signage needed to be done on site, and we've got that all written down. We had a meeting Wednesday, kind of went over everything, and we just planned for bigger and better, and hopefully we can include some other organizations next year on a more timely basis, because we think it's something that we want to continue to do as a Good Old Days Festival. And we get along great with the city of Richmond, and appreciate all their support too. The other thing is, we have Mark Brochu here. I know there's a lot of people, there's people on this council who have either had their kids or their grandkids out to the Columbus County Park all year long.
All year long.
People in our community just scream about how they love that park during the summer and the walking and everything else. I can tell you, because I was there, Mark Brochu is the reason that park is out there, and the reason that it continues to expand over all these years into a great place. And tons of our people in the city and our community utilize that park on a regular basis. So I don't think you get enough praise. At least in Macomb County, you don't. And I'm going to let you know, we appreciate what you've done all these years, Mark, out there, and we appreciate all the other parks. I know we go to a lot of the other St. Clair County parks, and a lot of those are because of him and his ability to work with not only the St. Clair County Commission and whatnot, but also he just works great with grants, evidently, because he has been able to do a lot of this through grants over the years. So I worked with him for a while there on that commission, and was always pleasantly surprised that most everything was already there, ready to go. Not unlike our own city manager, when we want things on the agenda, we have the information and we're ready to go. So I'm glad to see he's involved with the trails. He's been involved with the trails for a number of years. But I thought I'd take that opportunity while you were here. We really appreciate what you have done, and all the people that you work with. You've done a great job out there, and a lot of us enjoy, especially the sledding. It's a lot of fun. So let's go to the...
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
There's a reciprocal part of that you may or may not know, is that your fire department and the EMS have been fantastic partners in coming out and covering the park as part of their duties, anyway, and it's been a great partnership, so we appreciate them being so willing.
Yeah, great.
I have to tell you, the Richmond enthusiasm does cause me trouble. Some of my county commissioners think that do interviews to see where people are coming, and we've been a little more successful in explaining to our county board members that people drive out from Port Huron, Yale, Marysville, Fort Gratiot, so it's not just Richmond. We're happy to have you everybody.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, let's go to the all these advertisements I have. Of course, this weekend, Saturday, Richmond Police Officers Association will have their annual dance. I believe there may still be a couple of tickets left. If you call 727-1011, you might be able to still get a seat there. That's this Saturday. There is a Leaping Leprechaun 5K fun run on March 16th at 9 o'clock at the Macomb Orchard Trail. And if we can find out...
Jennifer
Yeah.
at the Allstate office
Yeah, at the
is probably
Allstate
the
office.
easiest.
Yeah, Jennifer Buer at the Allstate Insurance Office on South Main Street. If you go there, you can register for that Leprechaun Run, which will be March 16th. The Lois Wagner Memorial Library movie nights in conjunction with the Imagine Theaters. It's only $8 for one movie ticket and a 44-ounce popcorn at any of the Imagine Theaters. I've got an asterisk here. The offer is good to Lois Wagner Memorial Library card holders. You must have your card with you at the time of purchase. So anybody that has a card can get in for $8. That's a pretty good deal.
There's,
Great
yep,
deal.
and there are certain Mondays that I think that's down there, kind of towards the bottom. Sorry
Be
about
like,
that.
sorry guys, I'm going to the.
Checking the fine print.
Yeah, okay. This is good for day or evening shows on the following Mondays in 2019. Okay, it looks like it's the first Mondays of the month.
Yes.
Yep, it is.
That's
It's the
sad.
first Mondays of the month, starting in February and going all through the entire year by the looks of it. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, yeah.
Yep.
So that's a good deal. $8 to get in?
Yeah.
And the Chamber of Commerce is having a Night of Queens and a King. That is on Friday, March 22nd and Saturday, March 23rd. It's bingo, and you can contact, there's not a phone number.
I think either the chamber or Mariachis.
Okay. That's a new one. May want to get a
Yep.
number on that for me next time around. But yeah, I would think Mariachis, which would be handled 727-1011, which was the previous, wasn't it? That one, yeah, 727-1011. You can probably purchase tickets through them. And that is on March 22nd and 23rd. And we have the Hall Walking for Health at the Richmond Middle School on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, November through April, 6 to 8 o'clock. It's a $1 drop-in fee. And if there is no school, the walking is not going on. You can call our Recreation Department at 727-3064 for any more information on that. We go to the calendar, today being the 18th of February. We have a library board meeting on the 25th at 7 o'clock at the library. We have the TIFA will be gathering here at City Hall on the 27th. And our next regular scheduled meeting will be March 4th, right here at City Hall at 7 o'clock. Is there anything else that we have to add to the calendar right now? Being not, moving on. There is no closed session this evening. Is there any other business of the City Council this evening? Being not, motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
What's been made, supported, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Thanks for being with us.